I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another review? This is another Patreon review, this time for Advent. One of my thoughts on Babylon 5 The Gathering. Now, first off, if anyone's ever interested in requesting reviews or re-reviews or any other type of videos, you can either do so directly via my PayPal or you can become part of my Patreon. The links to both are down in the info box. If not, no worries, but if so, thank you. Again, there's PayPal or Patreon. Either way is fine. If not, no worries. But Advent, one of my thoughts on this, which, for what I understand, it was the pilot / movie that was a precursor to the show getting on the air. This was around 1993 this came out. I'm sorry, I'm doing it in my head. Just the funny thing is, I had seen the show, but I had never seen this. Way back in the day, I want to say in the late 90s or early 2000s, I would get home from high school. I know it was around that era. And I want to say it was on Sci-Fi Channel or another channel. I forget which channel it was. It would be these block of shows they would repeat. And every day, or at least Monday through Friday, they would show the same show at the same time spot. And then Tuesday, it'd be the next episode of that. And then Wednesday would be the next episode of that. So within a matter of a few weeks, you'd see an entire season of a show. I know that's how I view Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's how I reviewed shows like this. Now, I don't quiz me on it because I would not remember much because it's been so long since I've seen it. But I do remember liking Babylon 5. I do remember liking the show. But I liked the show when it was Bruce Boxleitner, which he didn't show up until about season 2. And I know there's some, I don't know if there's any fights within it, but some people are really into Deep Space Nine, or you're into Babylon 5, and it seemed like there's a lot of butting heads. I haven't watched much of Deep Space Nine, so I can't tell you, but I do like Babylon 5. Does it have a little bit of that Star Trek feel, but for some reason I remember having this one having a little bit more action or something to that effect. Maybe I'm wrong. But I do remember liking it. And you have different alien species. You have the Vorlons, which I thought they always looked really cool in their big shells. You have G-Car, you got Londo, the guy who likes to gamble, and those two are always fighting with each other. I think the last episode ended with them pretty much killing each other or ready to kill each other, one or the other. Then you have this alien race called the Minbari, who long ago had a fight with Earth, and Minbari was kicking ass, was going to win, but then you come to find out later on they had captured one of the soldiers, which is the lead guy in this. I forget the actor's name. They had captured him. They found out he was some bit of Minbari in them. So then they assumed that when Minbaris died, they went to the souls of humans, or the souls went to the bodies of humans. I can't remember all the details. It's been so long. But the pilot, it's about Babylon 5 is one of the last stations where folks of diplomacy can gather. I guess you would call almost the UN, but in space, with some action and some sci-fi. And it's called Babylon 5 because the previous ones, they either got sabotaged or some other things went wrong with the other four. One of them disappeared, which I think in a future episode it would reappear. Yeah, I could be wrong on that. This is about this group of diplomats coming together, and one of them succumbs to poison. They search who did it. They think the commander did it, but they realize it's someone who is wearing some kind of device that can change their appearance. And then they find out who did it, and they blow them out of the goddamn airlock. Well, not exactly, but close enough. Well, not really. I mean, the airlock gets blown, blah, 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 blah. I can't really say I was a big fan of it. That's why I'm kind of being meh, because I like the show, but this, I don't know, it'd be a full-on rant. I mean, it was interesting to see how it began as someone who remembers liking the show. But just because it's interesting on that front, I never cared for the first commander, which he was in this and he was in the first season. I thought it was much better when the second season appeared and Bruce Boxleitner was the lead. Because Bruce Boxleitner, who was in Tron, among other films, he just brought a little bit of that fun swagger to him. While this commander was a bit of a, I don't want to say wooden, but I didn't get really much out of him. I mean, I don't want to be too mean because Sally, the actor, the reason he left after the first season, because Sally, in real life, he was suffering from paranoid delusions and hallucinations. He was mentally ill. So yeah, the star of this in the first season, whoops, that's what happened. So that's sad to hear. But I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I did like Bruce Boxleitner more. So you don't have Bruce Boxleitner. You don't even have some of the actors that I did enjoy in the show, like Richard Biggs, who was the medical officer, Claudia Christian. You have some Asian lady that I don't even think she made it to the show. The one guy, Garibaldi, he was on the show. I liked him. But other than that, I mean, Patricia Tallman, nice to see her in there as a telepath. I think they changed the actress when they went to the show. But then I think later on Patricia Tallman came back. I forget if she was playing a different character or that year. I can't remember. But Patricia Tallman, who from Night of the Living Dead remake, and she was in a bit in Army of Darkness. Cool to see her in this. She plays a telepath. I do definitely see some changes from this to the actual show, or at least the future of the show, because the Minbari diplomat is a person named Delenn, which I always thought was a female, but in this, looks like a guy. Looks different. And I read up on it. Apparently, the original idea was that Minbari is supposed to be male, and then he returned to a female in the middle of the season or show or whatever the hell. And then they ditched that idea. So that's why in this, it looks more of a man feature-wise on the face. So that's why I'm like, what the fuck? Why does Delenn look so different? Like, I know it's a she, because she and Bruce Boxleitner would get married much later on in the show. And she'd go from bald to having hair, and then blah, blah. Like, why does she look so weird? That's why. Either that or she looked like a... I can't even picture... I can't think of a good comparison. Never mind. It was just weird seeing... Like, wait, that's a woman's voice. And I know that's an actress. But the face... It's not like it is on the show, but it is... Anyway. But you introduced the other characters, G-Car, Londo. I think the story behind that is Londo's race. Like G-Car's race were slaves to Londo's race. And things are... That was a long time ago, but there's still ill feelings for that. Londo is a guy who likes to gamble. The Vorlon ambassador, I think, is Kosh. And yeah, I always liked the look design of them, and later on they're supposed to be like the big ancient race. And one of the big last story arcs was this ancient race is coming and they need the Vorlon's help. As you can tell, the entire time I've been talking about the show, I haven't talked much about this movie because this movie didn't really do much for me. I mean, technically it's a rant because I didn't care about this pilot. I mean, if I saw this first, I would never watch the show because I didn't really care much for the characters. The commander, I thought Bruce Boxleitner season 2 was much better than this guy. You had no Richard Biggs, you had no Claudia Christian. I liked them. I can see why they got rid of some people and brought in those people I mentioned. Yes, it was interesting to see how it began. I don't know why they didn't think... I mean, you think with this many race of aliens, why no one thought, well, is there anything that changes form? Is there anything that changes your face? Is there anything that changes... I mean, that's something that would happen on Star Trek as well. I would say anytime in the future, if you're in a world with aliens, multiple alien races, here's a thought. Maybe there's one, or in this case it was a device, but maybe there's someone that could just change their appearance like a fucking chameleon. I don't know. I guess really that's my thoughts on this. I'm allergic to the bullshit. Yeah, it was interesting to see how it began. I've said that like the 4th time, but you could skip it. Honestly, I would say if you want to give the show a shot, I would honestly say start with season 2. Maybe you start with season 1, at least to follow it for a little bit. Sure, but if you're not liking season 1, I would say at least wait till season 2, season 3. Because that's when Bruce Bosley, others get in there. I don't know what else to say. There's really not much to the story. Them thinking the commander did because the telepath saw it, but then realizing the commander didn't do it because one of the Minbari had a device. I mean, the makeup on the aliens are nice to look at. Well done practical wise, I would say. The effects of the ships, I mean, this 1993, so that state-of-the-art looking. But for back then, for a TV budget, sadly, I've seen worse. I don't mind like the costumes that they have, or I don't mind the look of the station. I don't mind the idea of the film. Well, what would be the film would come into the show. So maybe you see maybe there's potential, but it has a lot to go. So maybe this is one of those lessons where in the future, just because a pilot sucks or isn't the greatest, doesn't mean the show will suck. Sometimes show has to get some legs and find out what works and what doesn't, who works and who doesn't. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you in the next video. Later.